Tough one. Hello, Presto. Hello, everybody.
You can
Is
increase your volume so you can hear you properly.
okay. Hello, Presto. Hello, everybody. Nice to see some faces. Yeah, it's been a challenging situation. We just moved from the protest into the virus period, so it's actually been challenging. However, as humans, we always adapt, so it's fine. So, and, for the PhD, we have to cope with the virus plus the academic stress. So, all in all, we thank God because we always refer to God in things we do. So, we thank God for strength, and Hong Kong generally is going through and making headway progress. So, we also have to try to encourage those at home in the country to take the virus seriously and stay safe. Yeah, I'd also want to appreciate the Nigerian government for the mask that we received. Although the quality was poor, maybe we could channel that to them and let them know. For example, I still I have not used up to 10 because of the quality. The handle rips when I try to use. So I think that aside, all is good. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kindness. So that is all about sharing our coping mechanism of AI from Mr. Mujib, Mr. Kende, and Mrs. Kindness, how they have been coping and how that's been affecting their research. And I believe we have been trying to cope well based on with the support from our colleagues, ANSHK scholars, and also from our supervisors. And I believe God will help us through this period to come out stronger. So let me start the session in proper by starting with the introduction of our topic as well as our guests. So today we'll be discussing on the first session is on practical tips for avoiding and managing burnout with the subtopic of dealing with challenges, either personal or societal, in one's career. And as you can see from the screen, we have two panelists, Dr. Marcos and Dr. James, who will be sharing their experience and answer some of our questions during this session. Let me start by introducing our guest speakers. Our first guest speaker is Dr. Marcos.
Hi everyone.
So that is him speaking, that is his voice. He's an associate professor from the City University of Hong Kong and also the research degree coordinator at the Department of Social and Behavioral Sciences. He had his PhD in Manchester, United Kingdom, and he joined CTU from the National University of Singapore, where he was also a tenured associate professor and was also the former editor-in-chief of the Asia Pacific Journal of Social Works and Development, and is currently an editorial member to 6 preferred journals and has published more than 50 journal articles, 10 authored or edited books or manuals, 15 book chapters, and 17 research reports. So it's someone that is really in the field, and has offered both academic and professional, he has both academic and professional experience in the field, and his recent publication also included chapter in the really backward encyclopedia of child and adolescent development titled Treatment of Adolescent Mental Disorders, Cultural Issues. So you can see that our panelists, he has the requisite experience to share, he has the requisite experience to share with us today. And we believe that we're going to gain a lot from him and what he has for us. Then, for our second, panelist, who will be sharing his experience from us, the one that is somehow known to some of us, most of us, is Dr. James Abu, and is currently a research scientist at the Network System Social Network Theory Lab of the Way Technology Investment Corporation Limited. He obtained Doctor of Philosophy here at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology in January 2017. And his previous degree were from Thailand and also in Nigeria. And his research interests are internet traffic engineering, congestion control and data networks, social internet architectures, network resource management, as well as telemetry. And his research works have been published in several outlets, one of which is the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, and also the Association of Computing Machinery, and also in the proceedings of the Springer International Conference, and also contributed to several industrial computer networks and architectures, and also he holds several issues. And he too has been involved in some of our past seminars and workshop where he has taught on similar areas like this. And now we have the opportunity of also inviting him again to share his experience with us. So I'm not sure whether Dr. James is online currently. Okay. I think it's online.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know from our panelists, can we start this section earlier since we are a little bit fast?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I suppose now the time has passed to me. So, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just a glimpse of my look. I'm not going to ask you to look at me for more than an hour. So actually, I'm going to share with you some screen. Let me see. If you don't mind, I need to share the screen of my PowerPoint so that because of accent, you may not be able to listen to all my English. Then you can watch what I have here. Can you see the slides now? Can you see the slides? Let me see. Can you see the slides?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good, good. So first, let me thank you for the invitation. Yeah, this is the first time I ever been invited by an African Association of Students to speak on or to share on some topics. So I think I'm not the one who really knows everything. What I'm here today is just to share with you some of my experience. So it might be correct, it might be wrong. And then it also requires your input of wisdom. When we look at so-called burnout, it's a term quite common nowadays. Burnout is actually a state of exhaustion. It can be in many forms. You feel low, you don't have the energy, you feel drained. It can be shown in either physiological, psychological, or physical symptoms. It's hard to describe what is and what is not, but when you are in that state, you know you are. So it's closely linked with pressure. I must tell you, you are in a state of constant pressure we face a dynamic view. On one hand, we say it is good to be under pressure. A diamond is merely a lump of coal that let me hold this, that did well under pressure. So we want to become diamond. We don't want to become coal. On the other hand, when you give too much of yourself, and then it's about trying to give what you do not possess, that is actually beyond our ability. So you see sometimes we have a very conflicting view on whether we should be under pressure. I suppose many of you are PhD students and some of you are professors. We are all under pressure. But I would say social work as a kind of human services, I must say all human services are stressful. Why? Human services are expensive. It's a matter of accountability. So it's the concern of administrators to make your service worth the dollar. Secondly, because it's human services, then that means your service has to be satisfied. It's a concern of the customer. It's on the receiving side of your service. Finally, because no matter internal or external resources, we are all limited in terms of resources. So we don't want to be drained. But at the same time, because your resources are limited, you would feel the pressure of providing service. Finally, because human services mostly are handling human sufferings. Okay, you are not called upon to receive a newborn baby, the kind of good things. It's always problems, needs that you have been called upon. So it's about human suffering, it's about loss, it's about bereavement, it's about family problems. Yeah, as long as you are involved in human services, you are more to look at the dark side of humanity. So these are the common nature of human services. Social workers constantly work under stress. I always told the new freshmen, if you don't want to work under pressure, be quick to quit social work study. When you want to join the profession, be prepared to work under pressure. However, it would be fair to say some human services are more stressful than others. For example, there are some nature of services, health and sickness, children and women welfare, cases concern legal procedures, or you work with life and death issues, end-stage patients. These are all very stressful natures. Secondly, you don't need to go through the stress yourself or the situation yourself. Sometimes when the disaster or plague situation is strong enough, you learn by vicarious stress. That means when something happens to someone near you, you appear to be like them because you are eyewitnesses. You're eyewitnesses of like intense life and death. It is quite well known if you are medical staff in combat with COVID-19. You see life drained, you see life gone. It's very stressful, I would say. Sorry, I missed one point here. For example, if you are asked to work under a very contagious situation without sufficient mask, shield, or protection, that can be very stressful. You can watch video clips on YouTube about nurses and doctors who complain about the lack of protection, and then they are forced to face life and death. These are all very stressful situations. Sometimes yourself gone through it, but the other time you watch other people gone through it. So what I mean here is what happened to your close friend. You feel as if you've gone through too. About theory concepts of burnout, there are two major ways of looking at it. One is social comparison. Why you have pressure? Because your peers publish more than you do. And when you admire their publication, you feel the stress. The other one is social learning theory. It's not by comparison, but it's actually by observation. It's sometimes called secondary trauma. Something bad happened to someone else, but you just happened there to witness or to be with them. So you have the same or similar impact. I don't go into those details, but I think we can learn something. A study that done by myself, it has not been published some years ago. It's about social work stress. So we survey altogether 344 social workers, randomly drawn from 5 major services in Hong Kong. Okay, so a quarter male, near to 30% male, near to 3/4 are female workers. Social work profession is a female dominant profession, and the mean age is 35. Okay, roughly 1/3 below 5 years service, and then another quarter 5 to 10 years, and then more than 20%, 10 to 15 years of service. So how do they feel? How do they feel about stress? Oh, too many cases. The end of every month, you have to calculate statistics, worry about cases that gone blasting, and then it becomes at 9. Then you have trouble because your boss will call you to make a full report. Not sufficient manpower, blah, 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 and all this. Sometimes when you look at 5, I have listed those because it's 10. So 5 is the middle one, suppose. And clients are difficult to handle. Poor client attitude, sometimes they place the anger on social workers. These are real situations. How do they feel? Feel very tired all the time. And we have to ask ourselves, do we feel very tired all the time? Do we have sleep issues? 20%, more than 20% always encounter sleep issues. Unwilling to go to work. Always. The term here we have to notice is always. And then always thinking of quitting the job, and then constant bodily pain. What about help seeking? Help seeking, yeah, friends, family members, yeah, they're the usual, or church fellows. These are colleagues. These are people we approach. But I have highlighted three kinds of professionals: psychiatrist, counselor, and kin psych. They are rated high on their helpfulness, but they have seldom been approached. Interesting. Imagine, social workers, if you have problems, would you turn to other social workers? I guess mostly no. Stress reduction, drinking, 12%. Smoking, small percentage. Medication, small percentage. And then as a whole, we found 15%, they fit the criteria of major depression. And then another 8% general anxiety disorder. So we want to do some analysis, and we found for those who are depressed, they are more seeking help from colleagues. They use friendship for emotional support. They also use more smoking, drinking, and medication. Okay. Work stress. We found work stress is important. Overtime work, and also if you work for short length of time. You don't have long years of service. That means you are new to the profession. Then you are more prone to the stress. What about PhD students? Most of us would not go out and do social work, right? I guess we have faced these kinds of stress and burnout situations. One, teaching related duties. I don't know whether it is the same situation. In City University, most students would need to teach like the faculty. And then if your feedback score by the student is too low, then you have trouble. We'll warn you for not meeting the threshold, or in 2 times, your stipend will be cut. Partly, I would say, partly. So this imposed a very strong threat to the research student in CityU. Secondly, about your research study, when you submit to papers, submit to journals, and then you want to aim high, and then you got rejection. Sometimes the reasons, the comments by the reviewers may not be very friendly, and then you feel disappointed. Or the time when you see your peers, they have done better than what you did now. So it's all about stress. In Hong Kong, well, you're alone. It's good that you have the association and other peers to support you. But I guess you would be homesick after long years of stay overseas. Long years of stay means long years of uncertainty, because you never know when you are going to finish it, or will you finish it on time, your study. My advice is you should learn when is your critical time. For everyone, the critical time is different. Sometimes for some people, it's not so much on the study. Sometimes for some other people, when they reach the apex, reach the peak, they can sense it, and they know they need a time off. So you have to sense when is your critical time. What you can bear, what you can take, and what you cannot take. What to prevent, what to come back. Final this, I guess this will be the final slide. I think as a PhD student, you need a humble attitude to face all kind of situation. Don't ever think that you will be better off, or you are in any way better than other people. No, you are just as ordinary as any others, and therefore there would be good times, there would be bad times, there would be acceptance by journals, there would be rejection by journals. In fact, I would say probably I have more failure experience than any of you. Yeah. Secondly, you have to increase the certainty by certain convictions of beliefs. You have to know what you are doing and why you do it. You have to be very clear. Everyone may have a different reason for that, but you need to know. Secondly, build your true value, a value not to be measured by the number of publications or impact factors. No. Never look at a person's success by all these publications. This is just a game we play. Well, if you are keen to publish high impact factors journal papers, there might be moments of excitement when you succeed, but there would be more moments of disappointment. You know, if you try to submit to British Journal of Social Work, British Journal of Social Work, do you know the success rate? It's only about 15%. That means out of every 100 papers submitted, 85 papers will be rejected. So you see, the journey is a difficult one, and you must have a good value to start this journey. I would say PhD doesn't change your life at all. Don't over expect. PhD is just a ticket to the game. What follow will be postdoc, assistant professor, associate professor, full professor. Yeah. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what do you like to be remembered? Do you think people would really read your paper if you publish? So I'm not suggesting that we are in an ivory tower, or we work something that is extraordinary, groundbreaking. No. Be yourself. Be yourself. If it is a game people play, then I would say it's a game in which we try to create space. We learn, we experience, we learn how to appreciate others, and we learn how to do things that we like and to do things that we think meaningful. Yeah. I think these are, you may feel that I'm trying to share something not quite evidence-based, but this is truly from my heart. And after all these years, and I think what has driven a person crazy is not really the outward criteria and requirement. It is always the inner standard and expectations. Yeah. Yeah, you are just a normal person. You're not a Superman, Wonder Girl. No, Wonder Woman, no. You are as ordinary as any other persons. You have time that you feel tired. You need a time off. You need to finish on time your study. You need to get back and stay with your family. You need to enjoy life just as any other person. Okay, that is it what I shared. Sorry for taking too long.
Okay, thank you, Professor Marcos.
Yes.
Over to
Let me.
Dr. James for his own introduction before we come back to Dr. Marcos, to Professor Marcos. Are coming back to Professor Marcos?
Yes.
Marcos have some discussion or introduction from Dr. James.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I hope you can all hear me. Hello?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Marcos, for that wonderful introduction. I think there's no need to repeat some of the things you've said. Actually, they are true, and I actually learned one or two things from what you said. And towards the end part of your introduction, you mentioned that you're not sure if these are kind of like evidence-based. I want to tell you that yes, actually they are true. This is something I myself passed through during my PhD in HKUST, as well as some of the things I've had others saying, about their experience, the stress, the burnout they experience, things like that. So they are true. So like I said, there's no need to repeat, what you said. I think we can go over to the question and answer and maybe treat those subtopic. But before I move on, I just want everybody to understand that one of the slides that Professor Marcos shared, where people get help when they experience burnout. We can see that just few people actually consult the specialist. People who are who are trained to actually deal with this. So which I think it is high time we change that attitude. That is, we should consult the specialist to get the best advice. So I think it's one of the things I love that statistics, and I hope everyone also can take that home and have a change of attitude, especially when we are faced with stress or challenges. We should consult the professionals. So, moderator, Mr. Perry, I think we can move on to those subtopics because most of this I want to say have been said in those slides.
Yes. Thank you. I think it's very hard actually for social workers to ask for professional help because it's a threat to your professional image on yourself. Social workers always ask our clients to seek professional help because it's not about us. It's just about our clients. But when it happens to ourselves, quite interesting because we have the kind of fear that we would disclose the facts or giving the image that we are weak or we are not as good as others who can cope. So it's this kind of comparative self-esteem or perceived self-competence that stops social workers from seeking help from other professionals. And then we actually found them, they do not want to seek help from psychiatrists, even though in most other cases, they ask people to consult psychiatrists because they don't want to be looked at as someone who got psychological problem or mental problem. So you see, there is a discrepancy between what we normally propose to clients and with the situation that we personally encountered. How to overcome that? I think that concern is not without practical reason, because in an organization, if someone knows that you are seeking help from other professionals, then there might be words about you. Then there might be some view, implicit views on you by the supervisor, and you wonder whether that would affect your career, your promotion. And then you would also wonder if the psychiatrists come from the same organization, like the government. If you are a civil servant working for a social welfare department, and then you seek help from another department, some psychiatrist, you wonder whether your personal information will be leaked. So there are some fears and worries. So there must be some structural establishment to help people believe that their help seeking would not lead to some kind of aversive effect on the person's career. Okay, that's my suggestion. And also probably a third-party independent professional service outside your organization. That would give people more peace of mind to consult.
Okay, thank you, Professor Marcus. Mr. President, I think, can I, the subtopic, can we just give some overview about the subtopic in the main topic?
Yeah, you can move on to the subtopic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, Professor Marcos talked about stress and prayer, which is attributed to PhD. For me, I will just be giving some of my experience and also some other people that I have worked with or I talk with. So basically, stress and prayer, they are inevitable. You cannot avoid it. You know, you ask anyone, even successful researchers now, successful professors, you know, you ask them, these are things that you cannot avoid. And but one way or the other, what is important is that in the end, you can look back and say, yes, you know, I'm happy, you know. But how did they do it for them to have that kind of things? You know, first thing first is actually to, you know, study the source of such prayer. You know, most people, number one, prayer and stress usually come from their supervisor. You know, maybe your supervisor think that, oh, I need you to submit 3 papers in a year. I need you to finish a paper in 3 months, things like that. They all usually come from your supervisor. And that's why one strategy actually to cope with that is actually to study your supervisor, understand your how your supervisor works, what are his demands, what are his expectations, things like that. It's very important to understand what he wants, to what detail does he want it, and also what are his tastes. You know, some supervisor will not care whether or not you're a PhD student. They just want you to publish in high impact factor journals. They want you to go to, you know, high impact publications. And you as a PhD student, you think, oh, I have not done enough work, things like that. So it's very important you understand what your supervisor wants. And another thing also, apart from that, is that we also need to learn from others. Learn from others. If you don't ask these others that I'm talking about, there's no way you can learn from them. So we need to learn from others that have experienced a similar thing, because we may go outside and say, oh, maybe this is, you know, top 10 how to cope with this, how to cope with that, you know. But these people may just have a general solution. They may not have that specific solution. Learn from others. For example, who are the seniors, colleagues in your research group? You can ask them, you can learn from them. How did they cope with this? I remember, you know, there was a guy that joined in a year after me, and you know, and this guy experienced, you know, a very smooth ride. Why? Because he was asking me, you know, he asked me a lot of things. Okay, how do I do this? And I tried to guide him. I said, okay, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do. If you want to impress, you know, our supervisor, this is what you have. So, you know, by asking from others, we can, you know, be able to cope, you know, with any stress or prayer that can come from our supervisor. Another thing is that when we are faced with prayer, nothing is productive during prayer. You know, when you are stressed, nothing is productive. Take time off. You know, you can take some time off. You know, you can hang out with friends. You can just, you know, take maybe weekend, take it off and do some other things. Socialize. You know, gather. For example, ANSHK, when we have, you know, this social gathering, let's partake from it. And I also learned that some of people in some universities, they come together, you know, they have social gathering, they go on, you know, bike riding. That's impressive. When I saw the video, you know, that was impressive. You know, you can engage in things like this, and these things can actually relieve you of any, you know, stress and prayer. And the last point I'm going to make here is that, you know, also good sleep. Good sleep is very important. It's very important that we, you know, engage in good sleep well, as has been indicated in the presentation of Professor Marcus. So the other part is that about the journal, you know, article rejection. Of course, this also was mentioned in his presentation. But there's something I learned is that, you know, as a PhD candidate, you are learning. So, which means that, you know, you don't have all the knowledge. Every time, every day, you're learning. And sometimes some of the comments received from these, you know, reviewers, they are actually eye-opener. Maybe they just say, oh, oh, how about this? How about this? Have you considered this factor? What about if this factor, you know, were to be, considered? What would be the impact? Maybe you didn't, you forgot. You know, maybe some people say, well, my supervisor should have known that. It doesn't matter. You and your supervisor, you are both learning. And that's what happens in the, you know, in the academics. Learning doesn't stop. So we always see this, you know, when these when we get a comment from all this rejection, let us see ourselves as we are learning, and
yes,
we may not be able to see the flaws in our work. Others will be able to see, and of course, that's the essence of this peer review. For others to look into the work for any potential flaw. And the second point is that most of the times when you get this rejection, maybe you get the email first or CC to your supervisor, you need to look at the comment form, because normally you have to discuss with your supervisor. Don't just take your, oh, my supervisor, the paper is rejected. No, look at the comment first. Look at the comments. Look at, okay, is it reasonable? Is it a reasonable comment? And of course, you can even start to think about how to solve or how to address those comments before meeting your supervisor for a meeting. Your supervisor won't be happy if you go and meet him and you never look at those comments. So first thing is to, go over those severe comments before discussing with your supervisor. And another thing is to address the comment if possible. I include the word if possible because there are some comments you cannot address, or there are some comments that you don't have the resources to address them. Such comment, during my PhD studentship, I was taught there's a way you can go about it. You understand? One of the ways is to acknowledge that problem exists. You need to include that in the paper and maybe say that, okay, we're going to look at this in the future. Of course, this creates even a work for another person to do. So there are comments that can be addressed and there are some that cannot be addressed. And whatever is the case, always have the plan that, okay, we're going to resubmit to another journal. There are many journals out there, even the high impact factors ones. There are multiple of them. Always ask that, okay, if this doesn't work, then I'm going to submit to others. And there are also some comments that are not justified. That's why even if a reviewer just say that this doesn't make sense, or this kind of claims is trivial, or this shouldn't have come from a PhD student. Like those comments that are very belittling.
I want to respond to your point. You have brought out a very important point about the relationship with the supervisor. Okay. So I think many African students, when they try to apply for a study, you might have overlooked the importance of finding a so-called good supervisor. Sometimes we want to follow masters, full professors, someone with a high academic standing. But in fact, honestly, I would say the most important point is to find a supervisor who is understanding and who can work with your style. Then the question you asked, how do I know this all before my application, right? You really have to ask people, might be your friends, to ask for what about this person's name in the department, what about a comment from his own supervisees. Sometimes, African students, most of you would be very submissive, or in some other cases, very insistent on your own opinions. There's no right or wrong, but it's always a matter of a fit between the two. There are some very demanding supervisors asking for high impact journal submission. If you don't let them know your difficulty and just keep on trying to please, then it would end up sometimes you succeeded and sometimes not. And then you find your supervisor very happy at one time, and while you did not make it, he's not happy. That is not the right way of a creative and helpful relationship. What I mean is here, you must help your supervisor to understand you. Your supervisor is very busy. He must be very busy before he can become your supervisor. Okay, then You have to make him understand what you are doing, and you are doing your best. Although it is not good enough, but I would improve.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, can I come in a bit?
Yeah. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know.
Yeah, that is Professor Mafa, our patron.
You're welcome, Professor.
Yes, thank you for having me, and I have enjoyed so far every bit of the discussion. And I think Professor Chu, thank you again for the presentation, and you know, things you have raised are very salient. I thought I will have a comment at the end, but at this point, I just wanted to move in. Relationships between supervisors and students. I think for me, as an African, it's not about subservient issue, but rather the culture of understanding, because everybody is coming from a different culture. And some of us, like, you know, when I came to do my PhD, at that time, there was literally no internet, no emails. Even the fax machines were not actually the good ones. So when you send a fax document, after 3 or 4 days, I'm sure you know the ink will fade. So there was no way you can actually get to know who those professors are or who those teachers actually are. But there is a culture of mutual understanding, which I think, you know, Africans generally are coming from a culture that is to some extent similar to the Chinese culture, where you have hierarchical, you know, understanding. I mean, in mainland China, it's different, because the supervisors, the professors, you know, are like God, if you like, you know, so you are like God. You are looking at your God who is standing between you and your PhD. I think in Hong Kong, there is some sort of a mutual understanding, maybe partially because of the Commonwealth aspect of Hong Kong history. So I think, you know, coming from there. So trying to publish with the supervisor, and all what you said is actually in line with what I think should be the case. But sometimes the supervisor can be very busy. That is true. He may have more than one PhD students or even MPhil student. That's okay. And your research interest may not actually fall squarely with his own interest, you know, as well. You know, my first paper, that was maybe 98 or 99. I mean, the one that basically went directly into the SCI, you know, that people always. So when I said to my supervisor, let's publish this paper, 3 times, the guy said, no, don't do it. This is no good. You know, nobody will look at it. 3 times. On the 3rd time, I forgot about him. I submitted the paper. And that was one of the papers that basically came out with very minimum comment. In fact, the editor wrote me an excellent piece of acknowledgement. So this is some of the things. But then, yes, of course, some supervisors need papers. But I think the basic point is to have that sort of mutual understanding. And then from there, you guys can go far. That's what I wanted to just contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mafa. Over to our panelists.
All right. So I just got a quick question here on the chat room. Someone asked how to recover. The first question are speed and persistence. Innovations are needed in today's academia and industries. So he's asking the question: can we escape stress at all? I would say no, we cannot escape stress. But what makes us, what we need is how to manage stress, because stress can come anytime and it can come to anyone depending on what you have on ground. So what I would say is that know how to manage stress, which is, one of the, these have already been mentioned in the earlier talk. So let us have that understanding. we cannot escape stress, but we can manage stress. So the other part, which is about how to recover from stress of PhD and postdoc in preparation for an academic career. Of course, preparation for an academic career, is something that all of us, we all anticipate, that, oh, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to work, things like that. But sometimes, we also, face a lot of challenges, such as maybe you submit your application, even while you have not yet graduated your PhD, you submitted many applications, and all you get is love letter. Someone used to call it love letter. That thank you for this, and we regret to tell you that your application has not been successful. So we term that as love letter, and things like this, are very common. And what I would just tell us is that I want us to know that the world in which we live in is very competitive. The job market is a competitive world. I remember, in our past meetings that I gave a talk on, on the challenges or on the way out, of finding, how we can be successful in our career, in our pursuit, of one job or the other. There I emphasize that 80% of people who get job today, anywhere, any job, they got those jobs by referral. So, so it's very important for us to understand that, this is a system, this is how it works. And as a result, we should play along with that. Number one, one way is that when we understand that the current world we live in is competitive, and that one will give us the kind of understanding that we cannot be weighed down, by any obstacle or by any disappointment that comes our way. And also, there is need to talk to others. Communication is very key in any problem. Any problem we find ourselves, communicating with people who we think might help us. Talking to others, including your supervisor. Like I said the other time, if most jobs are gotten by referrals, maybe your supervisor knows somebody in that university. Maybe in your conference, when you attend conference, don't just attend conference to go and do sightseeing. You go to conferences, you can, meet people, try to know more people. And LinkedIn, for example, try to connect people that you think that, okay, this person might be helpful in the future. So we talk to others about, about our plan. This is where I want to be, this is what I want, and we work towards it. So, out of what I've said, the key thing I want us to understand is that the job market is competitive, and the moment we start our PhD, especially after first year, begin to understand what your career, what is needed in your area of specialization, what is needed in your career, in the part, for example, somebody doing civil engineering, just have understanding what they require there. And this, you can only get this either by talking to others or by reading about this. And
I want to say something different. I appreciate what you say is very real, but at the same time, I must say your value is more than just those high impact factors. You must convince yourself you're worth more than that, right? Secondly, the relationship with your supervisor is not just about practical things. It can be friendships lasting long years. Okay, I give you an example. Yesterday, I just emailed my own previous supervisor. He's 78, a full professor in UK, still working. And I asked about how is it now, because I know UK situation is very bad in times of the COVID-19. And then he wrote back. He said, all over the years, I'm the student that he treasures so much that we are actually friends rather than supervisor and student. So It can be true friendship that lasts many years to come. It depends on how you make the relationship. My supervisor never asked me to publish anything because he got 350 publications, 10 books. He's a professor from King's College, London. And then he got everything. He's still working. So you see, he's a valuable asset to the university. He doesn't rely on me to publish. And every time when he sees me, he asks me, Marcus, why they didn't put you as a professor, as a full professor? You worth more than that. Many people who don't work as hard as you do, and then their work may not be as good as yours. They have already become professors. So do I feel the pressure? I would say yes. On the other hand, I learn how to cope. I know what kind of works from my work is good. And I do not need evidence to prove it.
So
And
thank you.
I'm quite happy to stay on as it is and live a free life. Yes,
So thank you,
thank you,
Professor
Chair.
Marcos.
Yes.
We have a participant raising up his hand, Mr. Sunday. Can you speak to the mic?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, President. This is my question. Dr. James suggested that when you are stressed, you should take a walk, go out and play. And for me, I've witnessed and experienced this quite a number of times. When I try to take a leave off the work, it just appears that my mind is not off the work, and I just find it difficult to take my mind off the work. And I can go and play for hours and still come back stressed because my mind is still on the work. So how can I just get to deal with this?
Thank you very much for that question. I think this is a very important question. So this type of question is a thing of the mind, right? But we can change our mind by understanding, what we are in for. Sometimes we take things differently. Some people take the PhD as, oh, this is, this is what makes my life. This is what my life is all about. If I don't get it, then I'm finished. Then I've not accomplished anything. Then I've not, gotten anything. My friends are, sometimes you always say, oh, my friends are making progress. They're getting PhD, but me, if I don't accomplish this, I'm so occupied with it. Things like that. So what I would say is that, for such a person that, even when you take leave from the work, you still think about the work. So it's more or less like there's a strong attachment, to the pursuit of PhD, and there's something like it kind of, I don't want to call it passion, because if you have passion for something, is something good, but it's like you have attached your life that for you to become someone in life, it depends on that PhD, and until you actually take your mind off it, that's when even the idea will come. I can give you, a lot of illustrations. Sometimes maybe I face some challenges in my work. I'm trying to find the best algorithm to solve a particular problem, things like that. The idea will come not only when I'm being burdened by the PhD work. I'm not saying you should not think it, because the idea will not, when you say there is an idea to solve the problem you're facing PhD, it means that you think about it. But the way you think about it shouldn't be the way that, this is problem. Like this is, there's a way, our approach to problems, differs. Sometimes we see problem as something that overwhelms us. But some people see problems as I need to find a solution to this problem. I don't know if you understand that statement. So you must see whatever challenges you are facing in your PhD, you need to calm down and only be on the pursuit of what can be the solution. Maybe you are just meditating. The idea could come while you're just hanging around with friends. I don't know if Mr. Sunday, is it clear or do I need to
Yes,
explain
I
further?
get you.
Yeah,
I get
so
your
what I'm
point.
saying is that
Very
is the way you see if you allow the problem, I mean your challenges in your PhD to weigh you down, if you see it as, oh, without it I can't become someone. No, you just see it as it's just this current phase of my life. And this is a problem, and there is a belief in you. There's a mindset in you that a solution will come. It may not be the best solution, but the solution will come, not to allow the problem to burden or to overwhelm you in a very bad sense.
So thank you so much, Dr. James. To the last question, to be answered by Professor Marcus, I've sent about how to get well when supervisor and students are not getting well. Is choosing a supervisor a good idea at all? And what are the communication?
Yes, I have two small advice for you. As an old person, because I done my overseas study some 30 years ago. One, focus on what you are doing one at a time. I oppose multitasking. The gentleman, Sunday, Taiwo, you just mentioned is your brain is working another mode while you're still playing the sports. So you are multitasking, but you work that way for too long and then you cannot focus. I would suggest one, you just focus at this moment, your thoughts on the thing that you are doing. Second, have some time off. I used to have the so-called mindfulness walking. I like to go out of the office, walk in a very regular pace, with my mind just between the pace. I didn't think of any other thing. I know there are some disturbing things. I know there are many works that I need to do. I'm aware of that, but I would not let that disturb my walking. Two small practical tips for you from an old man.
So, Professor Marcos is supposed to respond to the last question about supervisor and student not getting well.
Sorry, the last question is, I haven't looked at that. So, do you mind repeating to me the last question?
Yeah, if a supervisor and a student are not getting along so well,
Okay,
is choosing a supervisor a good idea at all?
Oh,
there.
Yes.
So.
Oh, this is a $1 million question. It varies according to persons. In some worst case, actually, you need to report it to the senior staff, like the head, like the dean, in order to make a change. Okay, I hope that would not happen because it hurts both parties. The better way is to help your supervisor understand your difficulty. Usually, the conflict would be that your supervisor may not be happy about some of your work. It will not be about the supervisor not happy about your personality, okay? Because it's very hard to comment on personal styles, but it's always possible to comment on performance. So there must be something that your supervisor is not happy about. So find it out what exactly it is. I'll give you a small example. If you give a draft of your own thesis to the supervisor, and if he or she is too busy and then she commented in a very hasty way, and then you follow the advice to revise it. Next time, she came up with another idea. That means she's not consistently reading your material. In that case, you'll be in big trouble because you don't know how much you should follow the advice. I would say try to solve that if possible. that certainly would make tremendous impact on you. You would not sleep well. You would not feel well because she's not happy with you. You have to sit down, find a time, sit down, tell frankly, try to find out what's the issue, and then do all you can to ameliorate the situation. But if you think all your efforts failed, then you should consider seriously whether you should work further with this supervisor. There would always be the exit route of changing supervisor, but it would not be encouraged because no supervisor would like to take up this job in the middle of the journey. Okay, I hope that would not happen. But in case that happened, you need to pray to God to have the courage, because it takes a lot of effort to report it to a higher authority and to change the supervisor.
So
Of course, the senior will look at the whole situation, whole profile. What's gone wrong? Where is the problem? Then they would ask for facts like, how frequent do you meet your supervisor? Do you raise do you take the initiative to raise the discussion item, or were you passive, or did you try to avoid your supervisor? So I would say make it regular meeting, take the initiative, and to set the agenda to speak, to discuss with your supervisor. Don't ever think that they are prepared. Don't ever think that they all understand very well your situation. No, you might have to repeat your story again. Thank you.
thank you so much, Professor Marcus and Dr. James. So I'd like to give our two panelists 1 minute each to round up their discussion. 1 minute each. Let's start with Dr. James.
All right, thank you, Mr. President, and also ANSHK, all my co-members of the association. Thank you very much. Also, I'm also very happy to be with Professor Marcus and every other Professor Marafa as well. I just want to tell all the members, especially those who are currently PhD students, that whatever you are passing through, just know that some people have passed through the same thing, and don't let it be something that will define your life. Just see it as a stepping stones. Whatever you face, even your supervisor, see it as a different person that you need to study and understand how it works. And in the end, you'll be happier than you started the PhD. And just make sure that, just know that in any situation, there's always the light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. James. Professor Marcus.
Thank you.
Okay. So, a big thank you to our panelists for the discussion on how to avoid burnout and how to deal with the personal challenges. Personally, I will say again a lot of things from them, and I'd like to summarize that we should build our true values. Our values not build on the numbers of publications or the impact factors. And also, when we face rejections, maybe paper rejection, whatever rejection, to see that it as if we are learning. And also, it's not what we expect. We are a human being. Allow for mistakes, allows for errors, and learn from it. And also, we can't escape what? We can't escape stress, but we can manage it, we can overcome it. And I pray and I hope that we're able to work on this to build on our career and also in our PhD studies. So once again, a big thank you to our panelists for an insightful and wonderful discussion and presentation. Thank you so much. So over to Mr. Mujib, who to be in charge of the session 2. And introduce our panelists for the second section.
Hi, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you for sticking by us through the first session of Academic Forum webinar. And so we'll go across to the second part of the academic seminar, and that's a session talking about the way we're going to go through from PhD candidateship up to PI, and also some other important things as well. So before we start, we were hoping that we'll have a short break between the first session and the second session, but because of some discussion that came at the end of the first session, we will just move immediately to the second session right away. So okay, so our second session is going to be on cascading mentorship, transversing the phases from candidateship, and some tips on job applications for both faculty and industry. And those experienced persons, those are resource persons who we have invited to take us through these topics, two of our own. They are people who have served our association in the time past, and it just even occurred to me now that Dr. Sam Ademiloye and Dr. Rotimi Abidoye, both of them served the association in two consecutive administrations. That was in 2015, 2016, and 2016, 2017, both as president and as the treasurer. So right away, I'll just introduce our panelists, Dr. Adeshola Samson Ademiloye and Dr. Rotimi Abidoye. So please, can I confirm if both of them are online first before?
Yeah.
They are both online.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm online.
Okay, yeah. So firstly, I will be introducing Dr. Adeshola Ademiloye. So Dr. Adeshola Ademiloye joined the Zinkiewicz. I hope I pronounced that very correctly.
Yes,
so
you did.
He joined the Zinkiewicz Center of Engineering, ZCC College of Engineering in Swansea in 2018. And before that, he was a research associate at CTU, University of Hong Kong, where he obtained his PhD degree under Professor KM Liu. And before that, he has passed through his bachelor's degree education with first-class honors at Ado-Ekiti. And his research work has been published in several journals, including Computer Methods in Application of Engineering, Journal of Mechanics and Physics of Mathematical Modeling, and he also presented a lot of conferences and seminars. And some of the awards and accolades won by our esteemed doctor, he has gotten a lot of awards from CTU, and also most especially the 2017 Outstanding Research Thesis in CTU. And he's also a member of a lot of associations, including the IPM UK, ASCE, and some other major associations. And also, as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Sam was the president of ANSHK for two consecutive administrations, 2015 up to 2017. And he was also the national secretary of RCCG of Hong Kong Mission. Yeah, welcome, Dr. Adeshola.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the voice of Dr. Adeshola. Do you mind sharing your video, please?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's very good, sir. So,
All right.
next,
Hello, everyone.
hello.
Hello.
And then again, I'll be introducing again the second panelist, Dr. Rotimi Abide. He is a lecturer now in property and development at the Faculty of Built Environment, University of New South Wales in Sydney. And he also was, before that, he was a research associate and a research assistant at the Hong Kong Poly U between 2014 and 2017. And before that, he obtained his PhD at the same university. And he has also been involved in a lot of other work experience, including being a lecturer at the Bells University of Technology, being a teaching assistant at Unilag, and also in the banking industry and real estate industries in Nigeria. So he's got a lot of experience working in different aspects of the society. And also our doctor, he won the prestigious HKPFS to study PhD in Hong Kong. And so his research focus includes real estate education, real estate practices, and some other very important researches. And he's also published a lot of papers and a lot of reviews. And also he's a member of the Chartered Institute of Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, and also RSV. You are welcome, Dr. Rotimi Abide. It's
Thank
nice
you
to
very
have
much.
you.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, so the way we try to plan this session is, perhaps we would like our panelists to introduce to us the first part of the topic for quite some time, and then after that we'll want them again to talk about the subtopic, and then perhaps then we form a kind of a panel discussion afterwards. So over to you, Dr. Sam Adomile, to introduce the first part.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I would like to share my screen just to show you some points. Okay. I'm not sure if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
We can.
All right. Okay, so thank you for inviting me and for having me this morning. And I hope I can share my experience, although it's still very fresh. And I can't assure you that everything I'm going to say is what you can use, but I'll just say it's just the things that I have used, and it's based on my personal experience. So the topic is about cascading mentorship, transversing the phases from candidateship to being a PI, and moving from being a PhD candidate to becoming a PI. From my experience, one needs to understand the importance of development. So the movement from being a PhD candidate to becoming a faculty member, we need to see it as a form of development. So it's a journey. It's a journey. And if it's a journey, you need to be able to take hold or take ownership of this journey. Now, as we've heard from the previous talk, you will face difficulties, there will be challenges, but you just need to say to yourself, this is my journey. I have what it takes to write my own story. Another thing that I want us to know is, in this journey, you need to keep a very good mental health. You know, because we are facing one challenges or the other, many a times we let it get into us. As we look at, we've heard from the previous talk on burnout. You have to make sure that your mental health, your physical health do not suffer. You won't want to get a PhD and lose your health for it. At the same time, you also need to be resilient. Never give up and always be positive about yourself. Believe you can do it and always tell yourself, I've gotten this far, I cannot give up now. And one of the things that I've come to realize is in this journey, time management is very important. You know, many a times you have so many other things that you might think you want to do, but how well you manage your time really determine how much your level of success. And as a PhD candidate, we understand the importance of writing. So you can, I would suggest that you start writing your thesis even from the first year. I will remember one of the things that made it a bit easier for me to finalize my thesis on time was the fact that at CTU there, we need to submit annual report. So for the first year, after writing the first annual report, the second year, I added the progress to the first year work, revised some part of it. So this third year, did the same thing. And when it's time for me to submit my thesis, it was a compendium of those reports from the past. So it implies that for each report submitted, I actually try to put more effort into it such that I can say, okay, this is done, and then you can move on. So the earlier you start writing, the better it is. And by writing and rewriting, you can practice to become better. No one become a prolific writer in a day. You need to practice, take it one step at a time. Another point I would like to emphasize is the importance of maintaining a healthy relationship with your supervisor, your PhD supervisor. Now remember that before you become a PI, you are at one point or the other a candidate. So for you to actually move from being a PI or a candidate to a PI, you need to get your degree. So the importance of getting of your supervisor and getting your degree, especially in the Hong Kong settings, cannot be overemphasized. Your supervisor is more like, if your supervisor says it's time for you to graduate, then you are almost ready to graduate. All the other thing that you need to do is just, okay, let's tick this box and that box. So it's very important for you to maintain that relationship with your supervisor. And to do this, we've heard so many things about getting along with your supervisor. From my own point of view, try as much as possible not to skip any meeting scheduled by your supervisor. So do not skip the meeting, the supervision, make it a point of duty. Sometimes when we talk about this, because you have worked so long at night, you felt, oh, I just have to do some work to get results so I can present in the meeting. And then you get to the meeting late, and your supervisor always know that this guy will not come on time to the meeting. If your supervisor have that kind of notion about you, then the relationship begins to suffer just from that very start. And also, respect for the supervisor is very important. Now, you need to look at it from the point of view that this relationship is a professional relationship. Some of us, we want to have a personal relationship, but some supervisors are different. So culturally, they are different. So we need to be mindful of this. We might want a situation whereby your supervisor invites you to his or her house to show that, oh, he cares for you. But for some supervisors, it's just strictly professional. You are my student, I am your supervisor, and that is it. So we need to understand the level that our supervisor wants to take the relationship. Another point that we want to quickly mention is prioritize publication. Sometimes ago, we invited Professor K.M. Liu, who was my supervisor, to give a talk in the ANSHK. And he said, in terms of publication, just publish as many as you can for a start. Then, by the time you get your name out there, people begin to see, okay, this is who this person is. But it's very difficult to really say you want to get a job without a publication. Because in the real sense of it, people want to see evidence that you can do something. So there is no way you can tell people, oh, I can do A, B, C, D without evidence. And when you are applying for a job, all they want to see is evidence. If you say you can publish high impact papers, they need to see evidence that you have done that in the past. So some people, They can say, oh, I'm starting with conferences and then move to journal. And for some department like computer science, the emphasis is actually on conferences. So you need to also understand what is obtainable in your field. The second and last point I will quickly mention is identify and take advantage of opportunities. For someone like me, I did make it a point of, I think it's very important for my career to serve others, to volunteer in different positions. So my service to, for example, ANSHK, serving in the department as a member of the Research Education Committee, serving with Cooper as a member of the Student Union, while I was in Hong Kong, really helped my narrative when I was looking for a job. So for us as PhD students, it's not just about publishing papers, it's also about showing that to people that you can actually do more, or you can actually contribute to other aspects of the society. So if you take up a teaching assistant role, for example, try to see that this role is related to the courses you are serving on, is relevant to your research, your teaching interest, and try to get good feedback from the students, good evaluation. They can form part of your application document. And also look for opportunities to serve other people. You can help your colleagues to proofread their papers. It doesn't mean that you're wasting your time, but from there you learn something new. And lastly, I want to say that we need to be vocal about your achievement. We need to be vocal about achievement. And of course, you need to know where to say it. For the Nigerians in some of us prevents us from saying that I have done this, I have done that. But then for you to be able to get that job that you desire, you need to be able to emphasize and tell people that, okay, I did this and I did that. I've been in a group interview at some point, and if you look at the way people are presenting their achievement, what they have done, you will tell yourself, oh, I have this same thing, but you're not presenting it. Imagine people putting their achievement from primary school on their CV. I got gold medal in this and that. But some of us, we overlook these things and we think it's small. You need to be able to celebrate your achievement and know where to say it. And that's just some of the things I would like to quickly point out before we go into the other aspect of the discussion.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam. Please, Dr. Avide, please.
Okay, thank you very much. And once again, thank you for having me tonight. Before I go, I just want to say one or two things. Firstly, I believe most of us, we are either Christians or Muslim, or we believe in other gods. I believe in God, and what I'm going to say tonight is God factor is there, and let's put God factor aside. So I'm a Christian, I believe in my God, but now we're talking about life, because faith without works is nothing. So number two, I would like to state that all these are just my personal experience, what I've gone through in life, and I'm happy to share, like every other speaker I've said tonight, is not something that it's holistic, but you can pick one or two things from everyone that will talk tonight, and it will form, it will help you in making some decision going forward. And going to the major topic, firstly, I would just like to say that for PhD study or candidate supervisor relationship, I see it as marriage. That's why I talk to people when I mentor people. I see it as marriage for those of us that are married, for those that are in a relationship. You try your best. You came from a different background. Your wife or your partner came from a different background. You guys came together. I tell people, if you could plan your wedding, your wife have different tastes, you have a different taste, different venue. If you could come together to plan the wedding ceremony, it was successful, beautiful, good pictures, then you can do a PhD by having a good relationship with your supervisor. And also I liken it to learning a trade. For most of us, I believe you are from Nigeria. Let's assume you're learning a mechanic from a mechanic workshop or a tailor. You're there to learn, and you're there to study, to build your skills. So I just want to liken, whatever I want to say, I usually look it from that angle. So now going to the topic, I'll quickly go through the points, because most of the things I want to say, Dr. Sam, I've said it. The first thing I want to say is that, firstly, moving from a candidate to a PI, firstly, know what you want to do, even before you start your journey. The first day I met my supervisor, when I resumed from my PhD, we were on the round table, and he was asking me, what do you want to do after PhD? I said, sir, I came in from a classroom. and I really want to go back to the classroom. I like talking, I like doing research, but it's 50-50. So I knew what I wanted. I knew I want to go back to the classroom, and that has been my passion right from undergraduate, and I've been working. So when you know what you want to do, is it will help you in making decisions. So that's just number one. People have talked about publication. We can't have this kind of discussion without talking about publication. You need to start writing, no matter how slow. You just need to start writing. You need to build that skill. Don't be afraid. We've talked about rejection tonight. I don't want to talk about, but start that. Probably some people just resume and you're wondering, why is everybody talking about publication? You can't move to being a PI, getting a faculty position without a publication. Number two, look at opportunities for collaboration. I used to tell people when I discuss with people, probably when we're in the university undergraduate, most of us have probably finished with a good result. You want to be the best in class. You're covering your paper during exams. You want to be the first. I want to score 90 over 100. That is not applicable to a PhD study. You can't do PhD alone. So you need to look for opportunities to collaborate with people in terms of people helping you with your work, probably to read. When I did my PhD, there are like 3 or 4 people that knew everything I did because they were there for me to read and they were there to correct me. There was a time I sent like 60-page write-up to my supervisor and we had a meeting. We only had one thing to correct. And I was like, Abido, yeah, you try. I said, no, sir. I don't think what you've read is my work. People have read it, 4 people have read it, and they've corrected. That's why you're seeing a good quality of it. So look for opportunities to collaborate with people. It doesn't take less of you, but it adds more of you, because when you collaborate, you're going to learn, like Dr. Sam said, when you read for people, you're collaborating. When you're publishing together, you learn what they are doing and to build your experience. So number 2, take opportunities when invited by a supervisor to do extra work. I'll just quickly share my experience. When I was in my PhD, I was sharing my office with a guy from Ghana, and I was married and I have a kid, a 1-year-old kid when I started. The guy was single. And my supervisor is well established. He has so much money. He applies for proposal grants here and there. But I noticed that my supervisor didn't invite me to write proposal for him. But he always invite this guy because he's single. I just looked at it now. I had to look back. Why didn't he invite me? I have a PhD student now that has 2 kids. The things I would expect from him is not the things I would expect from someone that is single. So then it didn't put more on my burden because I was studying at the point my wife also was studying. It wasn't easy. So it didn't put more on my burden. But if you have such opportunity come your way, don't say, oh, why is he asking me to write a proposal? Please take up that opportunity and learn, because it will guide you. He or she has interest in that, and they will guide you through and you're going to learn. So now it was when I graduated, I started writing my own and started thinking of, oh, how do I do this and all that? These are things some people had opportunities when they are doing a PhD. So if you have opportunity, please take that opportunity and don't be lazy about it. Number 2, know the sources of funding for your research area. You're looking at becoming a PI. Where can I get funding? You could look at governments, companies, NGO, university, professional bodies. Know those things, because different professions, like I'm a property person, in the built environment, you see more of grants being given to people in construction. For instance, in Hong Kong, a lot of construction are coming up, different ideas. We only sell, we only manage. So nobody really wants to spend money on those technologies that we are talking about. But people want to spend money on technology, probably for civil. You want to build roads. How can we build roads connecting Hong Kong and Macau and China? People can spend money on that. So you should know where you can get money from, so you can begin to work in those areas and begin to position yourself to those areas. Second to the last point I want to say is that start little. In terms of what Dr. Sam also has said, in terms of publication, you could start from conference papers. You're going to get feedback. It may not be that rigorous compared to publishing article, but start small. And also probably when you start on your own, when you graduate, you're working as a faculty member, probably there are some grants you could apply for, because when you are applying for government grants, there are some grants that are very high up there. So if you're not a professor or you don't have the track record, you just be wasting your time and resources. So know the ones you can apply for at your level, probably a professional body, some internal grants. Start from them, build that experience. And when you're applying for, and that also relates to you publishing. When you're applying for grants, you should be able to show to people that I've published in this area, I can solve this problem. So that's for you to know that publishing is not, you can't do without it. So just let that have that in mind. And lastly, what I would just say is that it's not possible for you to become a supervisor yourself without having publications. So any opportunity you have, please take it. To publish, we've talked about different topics now. I don't have to talk more about that, but any opportunities you have to publish, don't overstress yourself. Talk to people. I can remember the first day my supervisor told me what I was going to do. That was like 4 months after resumption. When I resumed, I was just doing my own thing. I did a review. I gave it to him. Just like, wrote to me, what you're doing now, when in 3 years' time, when we invite external examiner, I don't think they will pass you. And he started giving me an idea. The day he told me what I was going to do, I've never heard of it before. He saw my face. He said, I'm looking at you, think you can't do it. Talk to so person. And I was just like, oh, I was about crying. That was just the truth. And I had to talk to that lady in our research group. And I called one of my good friends, he's also connected here tonight. I said, bros, this thing has happened. I can't do this thing. I've never heard of it. What is neural network? What are you talking about? I can't do this thing. But I was able to talk to people. And the burden was softening my mind. I can do this. And because you've seen people do it in your research group, in your department, they've achieved, they've gone, they are doing well. I always put my mind that I can do it as well. So that's all I have to say for now. We talk about more things in other sections. No, we can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much to our panelists for those insightful recommendations and experience sharing. So I think because of our time, perhaps we could just go straight to the second part of our discussions. That's about giving some tips about job applications in the faculty and in the industry. So since you are the second one to speak at the first part, perhaps you could start for us.
Okay, I just continue. Okay, the points that I have some points actually. Number one thing is know your strength and your passion. Do you want to work in the industry or do you want to lecture? So those two areas have different requirements. For instance, let me just use Hong Kong for instance, and let's be factual with ourselves. I don't have any study to support this, but I've seen in people's life. It's not really easy for us to get a faculty position in Hong Kong. If you want to become a lecturer, you want to stay in the faculty, you may not really get a faculty. So let's be factual about that. So don't have that expectation. If I finish, I'm going to join my faculty. So you can begin to think, where am I looking at? So know your passion, know your strength, know what you want. Is it industry or the faculty position that I'm looking out for? Number two, be well informed about requirements for these positions. If you're looking at, I've worked in industry in Nigeria. We all know how to get jobs in Nigeria. Looking at faculty position, what are the expectations? You need to know what do I need to compete. Dr. James mentioned that it's getting more tougher. When I started my PhD in 2014, with the BSc first class, you can get PhD admission in Hong Kong. I don't know if it's possible. Even before I left, my supervisor was saying it at the meeting that even with first class BSc, first class MSc, we'll now be looking at, are you the first in your class? So it's getting more tougher now. Also getting a faculty position. I'm not scaring anyone. People still get job. I have mentors, mentees that got job. 2 of them got job last week. I talked to them. Talk to them when they're searching for job and all that. So jobs are still out there. I'm just saying it gets more competitive because we are turning out PhD students every day. So know the expectation, know the requirement for faculty position. I think they look at 3 things. Number one, academic achievements. You've gotten your BSc, probably your MSc, your PhD. You've probably have good results. That's fine. That's on the side. And number 2, publications. They look at that. Have you published? Do you have citations? You don't need to have 500 when you're graduating, but be able to show to people, because most times when you graduate now, you start either as a lecturer or an assistant professor. So nobody is expecting you to have 1,000 citations, but they want to see that even in 3 years, or probably you've been practicing or doing lecturing before you start your PhD in Hong Kong. They want to see that you have a record. Dr. Sam also mentioned development earlier on. People want to see your CV and see that you're growing every year. Things are getting better. You're improving on a yearly basis. So know that publication is what they look out for. You also mentioned the last thing I want to talk about, which is industry connection or society. They want to see in your CV. Do you belong to any professional body, which is one of the things I advise people that I talk to. There's no profession that doesn't have a professional body, either locally or internationally. So try to see how you can join them. People look at that. You may join them, you may become a committee member, they may invite you, fine. But even if they don't invite you, let it be in your CV. I belong to, it's not just academics. I can relate with people. Also, if you have any extracurricular activities you do, some of us have served at any ANSHK before. We do other things as well. Be involved. Don't just say, I'm here for my PhD in Hong Kong, just PhD, I just want to do PhD. So be involved in all those things because they will count when you're writing your CV. Subscribe. I know everybody should know this. Subscribe to job advert sites so that when job comes in, they come into your emails. Talk to people about your job search. Don't, like I said, linking it to or relating it to, I want to do things myself. You can't do it yourself. Talk to people. Let us I'm a Nigerian. Let us forget about, I'm sorry to say this, some people may not like it. Let us forget about somebody. If I tell somebody what I want to do, I will not be able to do it. They will kill me or something. Let's forget about all that. Nobody wants to kill anybody. So talk to people. Be friendly with people. People that you try. I'm not saying we are 30 something here. You can't be friends with all the 33 people here. But you have people that you trust that you can talk to. So be open to people. I'm searching for a job. What can I do? And most times look at people that have gone ahead of you, probably a few years ahead of you. They just passed through that bridge. People that have gone probably 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, they've passed through, but things have changed. So people that have gone recently, talk to them, let them advise you. Oh, you can do this, you can look out for this. These are the things we're looking out for. Because some people that are talking to, that have spoken tonight, we could be in a panel of where we are doing shortlisting for interviews. So we'll be able to tell you what we look out for. Even when the shortlisting for PhD students, some students are being called by their supervisor to review your application before you were given the admission. So talk to people so that you can know what is expected. Like I said, senior colleagues, let them review your documents when you want to apply for jobs in the I'm talking about faculty position. There's what we call person specification. They call it different names. You have to submit a document. You have to write, give it to people to read for you. And also your PowerPoint. Sometimes they ask you to present. Don't think I want to do it myself. Talk to me. For me personally, I like talking to people. So when you talk to people, the things you're going to search for on the Google for like 30 minutes. If I call you in 2 minutes, you tell me. I can use the 28 minutes to play around. So talk to people. You're going to gain more by talking to people. Fine-tune your CV. Some of the CV, probably, let me just my example, when I was coming from Nigeria, the CV I came with can't get me a job now. So like I said, talk to people, give it to people to help you review. People have different styles. There are some things you're not mentioning, like Dr. Sam said. They could help you put it in place and it will be a winning CV. No, I can't say 100% winning CV, but at least it's going to be on the top of that list when you apply for jobs. Get a good active referee. This may not be easy for everyone to get good referees. At times, probably a supervisor automatically in quotes may be a referee. Some people may just have an assistant professor as their referee. But it doesn't matter who your professor is. You can still get good referee from them when you have a good relationship with them. Just a letter. I have someone that applied for a permanent residency here. He's just doing his PhD. And you don't want to see the letter a supervisor wrote for him. You don't want to see that letter. So when you have relationship, people can say, definitely, I know this person. I can vouch for him. He has done this. She has done this. He can achieve this. She can achieve this. And those are the things people say. I just want to say this on the side. When I got my job and I resumed, I asked my HOD, why did you even give me this job? He said, okay, fine, this. And one of the things he mentioned is that you're referee. No, there's nobody that doesn't know your supervisor. So things like that, maintain that relationship. You're going to need it in the future.
Dr. Abido, please, would like to
time up. Okay.
From Dr. Adechola, please.
Okay, no worries. That's okay.
Sorry if I continue.
No worries.
Thank you, Dr. Abide, for that. Again, I like sharing my screen. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'll just give a very quick tip about job application for academics. Okay, I haven't worked in the industry in Hong Kong. So I won't be able to say anything about applying to industry. But for academics, the first point I would like to mention is that you need to decide whether you wish to target positions in selected countries or you are willing to go to any country as long as the terms are right. So for some of us, we might say, okay, I prefer going to, okay, after my PhD, I would like to get a job in English-speaking country for somebody like me, because I don't want to start learning new languages. Of course, that is because that's a preference. But sometimes, will it work that way? I cannot guarantee you. But for me, I feel the first thing is decide where you wish to target positions. Is it or you can just, or you're open to go to any country, anywhere, as long as they give you the offer. You know, this begins to help you to know what you need to do after that first step. The second step, or the second thing I would say, is read some CVs. You know, you need to identify people that are doing the job that you want to get. So for example, I am a civil engineer. I did my research in medical engineering. So I went out, look out for people in computational mechanics in the UK, in US, in Canada and Australia. What are these people doing? What have they done that I have done, or that I'm doing, or that I have to do? So by looking at those CVs, I begin to have an idea of what people can do or what people have done to get a job. And from there, I begin to tailor my CV in that direction. So for example, getting a job in the UK or in Australia, you need fellowship of the Higher Education Academy. We call it HEA, for example. Now, people need that as a teaching qualification to get a lecturership job. All right, if you can't get that, you can get associate fellowship, or you begin to think, what can I do to show that I am on the right track to get what you need for that position? Some people, it's being registered as a professional, for example, professional engineer. Can you start that? Can you apply? Even if you cannot get the full registration, can you become an associate? Can you start from just get something such that people can see that you are in the right track, and just give you a few years, you can actually get what they want. So you need to read those CVs to know what people are doing. For example, on my computer, I have CVs that once a while I just go back, look into, okay, what are these guys doing? What have they done in the past few years? And that helps me to actually keep up my motivation as to what I need to achieve so that I can move up the ladder in this career line. Another thing that is very crucial that I would like to spend some time on is know the game. You see, the reality is this: getting a job is like, it's not a gamble, but you need to know how things operate. So one example is this: academic hiring decisions are about fit. So if you get the job, they advertise the position, it looks nice. All right, so what are they looking for? What can you offer? If you have a very nice CV, nice layout, looking nice, I've done so many things, but it is not what the job, what the university is looking for, then you will not get the job because they have what they are looking for. So check the person specification, check the job description, and be sure that you are the right fit for that position. It helps you to minimize the number of rejections that you eventually get overall. So like I said, tailor your application to that job. One size cannot fit all. You have a CV, you have a cover letter, you just forward to every job. It doesn't work. You need to look at the application, the job description, the person specification, and write your application in line with what they are required, well, what they are looking for. So if you're looking for a lecturer who is focusing on teaching, and you put so many publications on your CV or your application document, you might not be able to get the position. So if you are looking for, if the job is about somebody in research and you are talking about the number of teachings that you have done, how good you are as a teacher, you might not be able to get the job. So you need to find out what are they looking for. Then tailor your application, your CV, and your cover letter, your response to selection criteria in line with that. Last point I want to mention, get strong recommendation letters. I remember a story of someone who was sharing on Twitter that, oh, I applied for some jobs, I couldn't get a job. I don't know why, until somebody told me that one of the professors who was, it's not my story, I read it on Twitter, who was acting as the person's recommendation letter, was said something very nasty about the person. Now, you might not expect this to be the case in your own situation, but just be mindful of who you are using as your referee. I remember some times ago submitted an application, and one of my referees is a professor from Nigeria. I sent an email, a WhatsApp message saying, I've used you as my referee. Please help me to respond to any request. All the other referees have responded to the request, I still have to chase that professor for a reference. Now, as good as that, as nice as it is to have somebody from my previous position or academic, say for example from Nigeria, to be my referee, I also understand now that if some other person got all the referees available, then they might consider that person before me because my referee is not complete. So you need to also check who is your referee. And more crucially, people want to see your supervisor as your referee. There's no rules that say your supervisor should be your referee, but people will always want to see if what your previous supervisor have to say about you. And that is it from me for now. And hopefully from the discussion, we can be able to share more ideas.
Well, thanks a lot to our panelists. They've shared a lot to us about job opportunities, how to hit the nail on the head and get the job done easily. And now we'll just move over to the panel discussion right away. And so I'll be giving the first question is about how to establish cordial relationship between all kinds of supervisors. Because I think both of our panelists mentioned that we need to maintain a certain good relationship, not just work relationship with our supervisors to get recommendations and other things. So like, do we have to be so subservient to them, or how do we try to strike a balance in between those relationships?
Okay. Thank you for that. Like I said, I'll go back to what I said earlier on. Just see your supervisor probably as your partner and try to understand them. Let me say we're in Hong Kong. Most of us are in Hong Kong, and it's a different culture, it's a different ballgame. Even despite the fact that it's Hong Kong, you still have different people. But what I want to say about is that, number one, like marriage, don't compare your supervisor to other people's supervisor. You can learn from what they are going through, or your friends are going through with their supervisor, like marriage as well. You see people do this, you're happy about it when you read books about marriages and you bring that into your family, but never compare them. Don't say because this man has meeting with us every week, this one is once in 3 months. That shouldn't be a reason why you will hate your supervisor. So just understand what he or she wants and understand and move with it. It's just like marriage or your relationship. That's what I'll say. So don't just say, oh, because this man is good, this woman is good, this one is not good to me. Understand what they want. And if you get to the point where you need to change your supervisor, be sure you've explored all opportunities to resolve, because expectations are high for some supervisors. They want you to publish in Q1 journal. Get to a point where you can let them know, like Professor said earlier on, let them know your capacity. Don't just, like I said, I told my supervisor, what you've read and you saw just one mistake, it's not 100% what I've done. People have helped me to review. So that's what I'll say. Try to understand them. What do they want? And don't tell them what you cannot do. That's number one. Don't tell them, I can do this, I can program, I can do all that. Let them know your capacity so that they can work with you based on that. That's all I have to say for now.
All right. So just to add to that, establishing cordial relationship with all kind of supervisor. Let's take it on individual basis, one-on-one. Who is my supervisor? It can be very difficult to identify from reading, looking at their profile. But now with the advent of technology, before you start your PhD, you can tell people, okay, ask the group members, what is the nature of the group? If you get that information ahead, it helps you to decide if this is where I want to join. Of course, for some of us, it's just about opportunity. You need somebody to take you on. So whether that person is top or upcoming, I just need that opportunity. So that is a different ballgame. If you have the card to choose, then you can say, okay, ask other people, how is this person like? But if now that you are already with the supervisor, I think the best thing you can do is to ask your supervisor, what do you want? What do you want me to do? And put in your best to do it. Now, I'm not saying that you have to kill yourself to please your supervisor, but try as much as possible to ensure that you put in your best. And when you discover that I need more time, let them know. Communication is very crucial. If my supervisor asks me to do some work, for example, write a paper, and I think I need 1 more week to finish the paper, I will write him an email. Sorry, sir, I need 1 more week to do this. I need some time to do this. if you keep him in your supervisor in the loop, it makes it easier. For my PhD, it took me 9 months to write the code that I need for my work. For 9 months, I was writing code in MATLAB because I don't know anything about modeling before I started my PhD. So 9 months I was working on code. Now, how did I uh, pull through? I always try to keep him in the loop. I'm trying, this is what I'm doing, this is what I've gotten so far. Don't go to the meeting empty-handed. Just go with something, even if it's just I've done this and that, this is what I want to do next. With that, it helps your supervisor to see that you are trying your best, and he or she at some point was also a student, will be able to see that yes, indeed, you are doing your best. But if you are not really showing that you are doing your best, it becomes difficult for he or the supervisor to understand that you are doing your best. Let it be obvious. If you spend nights in the office, let it be obvious. Tell him that, oh, I've spent this couple of hours and I hope something new will come out soon. Communication is crucial.
Okay. So I'll just ask another question just on the second part, just about this remuneration negotiation. Like, how do we have to work about negotiating remuneration and then some interpersonal skills during job hunting?
Okay.
For
Okay.
me, can I start?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
You can start.
All right. You know, I would say this, it might look very strange, but I'll tell you something. From my own personal experience, you need leverage to negotiate. If you don't have leverage and you want to start negotiating, you might actually shoot yourself in the leg. So I will say this, for the jobs I've gotten so far, I accepted the salary that I'm offered. While I was doing my postdoc in Hong Kong, my boss offered so and so amount of money. I said, okay. Now, at that point in time, I feel I'm not in the position to say, no, can you increase it? Can you do this? Why? Because I needed something to go on with. Now, when I was moving to Swansea, I was offered a certain amount of salary. I said, okay, thank you, bring it on. Why? Because at the time I got the offer, I have just less than 3 months left for my postdoc, and I'm not sure that I'll have some other thing lined up. So at that point, I said, okay, thank you. As long as it's enough for people to survive, I will survive. But now, if I'm going to leave my current position, I have a job already. I can say, it's either you give me X or you leave it. I'm not under pressure. If you're under pressure and you have a visa that is running out, and you now say, no, that is too small. I'm telling you, there are so many people on the queue that they might just say, okay, thank you. And once they send an email saying, oh, thank you for that, we will not be able to offer you that, we have offered the position to somebody else, there is nothing else you can say to make them change their mind. So the first thing is, do you have a leverage? If you don't have a leverage, I would suggest that as long as the offer is decent and not ridiculous, please go with it. And to know what is that is acceptable, check Indeed. You can see what the average salary is, and please go with that. And then when you have more leverage, you're not under pressure, you can start negotiating. That's my own view about salaries.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I'll just say something contrary to what you said. Not that I don't agree with what you said. I agree 100%. I just want to give you another perspective. So there's nothing bad in negotiation. But number one, know what your words and know where you should be. But that doesn't mean when they offer you, like you said, when there is no other option, there's nothing else you want to do. You just have to start. So look, for instance, when I got my job, I got the offer, and I wasn't. Let me say I wasn't happy because I've got some experience before I left Nigeria. I came for Hong Kong because I had to have everything. Don't think your PhD is not part of your experience. You have to count it. The teaching experience you're doing is part of your experience. The PhD research you're doing is part of your experience. So I've got like probably, let me say like 7 years before I got this job. And I was just like, oh, why did you give me this level? I've got some years of experience in Nigeria and all that. So I had to write email to the HOD, and he gave me his reasons. Okay, can you just do this? Can you just do that? Give us some time. there's need, if you think you want more than that, you don't have to say I don't want if you don't give me. There's the room for you. Don't, if you think you want more than that, you can ask for more. When you ask for more in the first email, they can't say no and we are not giving you the job again. I don't think they'll do that because they really need you. That's why they offered you. So, but if you think you have time, number one, you have options, you can still send email politely. I have a lady that's coming to Australia very soon. When she was negotiating, was like, "Bolu, what should I ask?" I said, "Okay, fine. Let's look at the salary scale. You've done your PhD. You've worked in this. She's in a particular country in Asia at the moment. You've worked how many years? Where should you be on this scale? So can you mention to them that you will like this level? So something like that. Have an idea where you should be. And if you don't have a choice, don't argue too much. Take it and start. Like you said, now if I want to move, if it doesn't pay me, I'm not moving." So that's just how I would say.
Okay. We have another questions from our audience. So the person asked, the supervisor keeps holding onto manuscripts for so long, and it's like a recurring problem for PIs to treat graduate students based on their own experience during their studies. So, like, is there a way out on this?
Okay. Personally, like what I would say is just my own personal opinion. Institutions like that, communication is key. So if you're still a PhD student and your supervisor is holding on, you can let him know. Or like my supervisor told us when I was in my PhD, if you send me an email or you send me an abstract or anything, a manuscript, in 2 weeks I don't respond, just send me a reminder. So probably he's very busy. He's a very busy person. So send me a reminder. So some people probably they don't really, it's not intentional. So don't just assume it's intentional. But if you've seen that there's a trend, this man or this lady or this woman doesn't respond in 1 month or 2 months, probably send reminders most times. I don't think they will abuse you or they will beat you. They don't think they will do that. So send reminders to let them know that this is, what about your comments on this? Because I want to do this, Let them know why you need. You don't have to push someone. You send an email today, send a reminder tomorrow or next week. So give them like 2 weeks, but they are busy. I'm not the only one they are supervising or doing. They have teaching, they have society, they belong to this committee. So that's just, so if you're a postdoc actually, and the project is for your supervisor and it's delaying, at least is on record that you've done your part, you've written the manuscript is there, probably still send reminder. Communication is key. Let it just be that. So even if the person is doing it intentionally, when you keep on sending emails, they will say, okay, what does this person want and all that. But you don't have to be rude about it, and you don't have to take issues out of that. Keep working and keep sending reminder. Keep working, keep sending reminders.
Dr. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree so completely with what Dr. Bodu has said. Just keep working and keep sending the reminder. Communication is key. If you have, by the time you give him 10 manuscripts and he has not submitted anyone, very soon he or she will start feeling guilty. So I'll tell you this, just keep working. You can continue building on what you have done before, and then keep, I mean, by the time I don't think you will have 5 manuscripts ready for submission and the supervisor has not submitted anyone. So just don't worry too much. Keep working, keep doing your best. It's very difficult for you to say, talk to the head of the department or do this. It's like you're taking it to you're escalating the situation that is not really necessary for you to do, because you don't want a situation whereby he or she have a kind of contrary or negative feeling towards you. Just keep going, keep writing an email. Anytime you meet for the meeting, remind him or her, I've sent you another email containing the manuscript. Please have a look at it. Sometimes even from say, for example, you have written another manuscript and he or she has not replied, tell the supervisor that this manuscript is building on the previous manuscript, so you will need some comment from the reviewer or get it published before you can publish this. And I mean, that's just it. Communication is very key. There's really nothing you can do at that point in time, because if you submit on your own and with the supervisor's name, supervisor can write to the editor, even if the paper has been accepted, published, they can retract that paper. And you don't want a retraction to start appearing on your profile at this level.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Adeshola. Then I'll ask another last question from me here. So it's kind of a combined question, actually. So the person asked, what is the lowest number of job applications that can guarantee you to get a job? And then again, is it every time you get a feedback from the person you have applied to, and then also when is the minimum time for you to wait before you ask for a feedback or before you request from your prospective employer?
Okay, thank you. Let me just quickly take that one after the other. The lowest number of jobs, I would say no size fit all. Like in life, don't compare yourself with everybody. I would say probably for me personally, the PhD I had in Hong Kong was my first and last application for PhD. And I know somebody that had 40 applications, different countries, different interviews. So no size fit all. That's just number one, no size fit all. So keep searching, keep applying. My own advice, Dr. Ademile said, know the country you want to work in. What I tell people is that in as much the country is not under distress, there's security, the economy is okay, people, there's no racism, keep applying. When the offers come, you will decide what you want to do. When the offers come, it's offer and acceptance. Nobody's forcing. Even when you accept, you can still say, I'm no longer coming. So it's nobody until you, even when you resume, you can resign 1 month later or 2 months later, depending on the content of it. So keep applying, keep applying. I won't say there's a particular number. When I was searching, I just have different folder, keep applying different. But there are some countries I don't like, I would not like to leave, so I don't apply there. Any other country, even the US, sorry to say this, I don't really like US, but I still apply there. I never plan to leave there. But I still apply because I don't have an option at that point. So I won't say there's a number. Keep applying. It doesn't cost money. It's just your time. And by the time you have your person specification, you can just revise it like Dr. Ademile said. Don't just be sending the same documents. Read through what do they really need and just format it in that. Keep applying, keep applying. The next question, will you always get the feedback from HR? I would say no, because different HR in different companies. So some policies, or at times, what mistake we do is that in the advertisement, they usually mention at the bottom, probably we don't read it there, that only successful candidates will be contacted. Some of us don't get down there. We just see our person says we're getting the salary and we apply. So at times, I'm not saying 100%, most times they put it there that only successful. So at times, some people have mentioned it that will not get back to you if you are not successful. But at times, they don't put it there, and some HR are lazy or they have so many works to do. If you've dealt with HR, you know what I'm talking about. Some are good, they have staff, some are understaffed. So let's understand all these things. So if they don't get back to you, is there a minimum time frame? I wouldn't say there's a minimum time frame, but at times, no size fits all actually, again, in this situation, because some recruitment could take 1 year. Some could take 2-3 months. Some could take 2 months, and they will complete. Probably there's urgency. Somebody's resigning. The position I took, somebody resigned in December, and I resumed January 2nd. So there was urgency. So people will begin to run a task. You must resume, you must resume. So, but some, they just want to expand. They could be there for 1 year. But you don't have to give people pressure every day. What's the feedback? What's the feedback? So let's just give it some time. Just do other things. Just be busy, do other things, and don't just be sending emails every now and then to them. Probably give 1 month. If you've done the interview, most times I ask them, when will I hear from you? Probably they say, oh, in the next 2 weeks. That week maybe 1 month, and they'll say, sorry, love letter like that, but James said and all that. So I won't say don't ask for feedback, but don't just put your mind there. Keep applying. And when you think, this, I've not heard from these people, send emails. It doesn't cost you. Nobody will abuse you. Nobody will arrest you. But there's no minimum time. But don't do an interview today and the next tomorrow you're sending emails. Just give them some time. Know that people are busy. They have other things they are doing as well. Thank you.
All right. So I would say there's no minimum number of applications to submit. Just keep submitting. I just try to look at the number of applications that I submitted. I think I would say I submitted more than 50 applications, got less than 5 invitations for interview, and got 1 offer which I accepted. So you might be thinking, oh, 50, yeah, some people apply for more than that. So I tell you, it doesn't matter. You can just submit 1 and then you get the position. But the most important thing is keep applying. There are a lot of people getting a PhD. There are lots of people having some qualifications that you don't have. And for some places that you apply for job, it's not that you are not good enough. It's just because they don't want to sponsor a visa. So if they get somebody who doesn't need visa sponsorship, if the second person is even second on the list and you need a visa sponsorship, because of the hassle of sponsoring the visa, they can just decide to go for somebody that doesn't need a visa sponsorship. So sometimes it's not about you, it's about the place itself, the university you're applying to, the country you're applying to. So many at times, don't just say, oh, I've gotten the rejection, it's because I'm not good enough. No. After 1 year in Swansea, I still got an email for a postdoc that I applied for in the US saying, thank you for applying. We have decided not to go on with this position. I just look at the email. I just felt like, I just delete this thing or I just move it to the regular folder. But then it's just telling you that even when some other people are chasing you to have you in their team, some other people just think we cannot go ahead with you. So it doesn't matter. Just keep going, keep trying, and then you will get to the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, please, we'll round up with this last question.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I thought you should give Oshodi some time to say a bit also. I can see, he's one of those minted guys as well. So.
Yeah, yes, sir. Please go on, sir.
He's not willing to. Yeah, Oshodi, right? So.
Oh, Dr. Oshodi.
Yeah.
I don't think
he's online. Okay, he's
online. He's online. I can see faces. Yeah.
Dr. Oshodi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Please, the audience would like your contribution, sir.
Well, I think I agree with what almost everyone has said. It's quite insightful to hear experiences from everyone. But I think from my own personal experience, which also I think I agree with what Bolo has said, I always say apply as much as you can, and always make sure that your CV is tailored appropriately as well. And always try to talk to people. Talking to people will always help a lot as well. Consult. That's the best approach to actually getting this job, especially to succeed in the job market. So, because sometimes some people might actually understand what that university needs at that time, at that period. Maybe someone just moved to a new job, and that position that he left, they need somebody that is a QS that has X background. That kind of background information could actually help you to tailor your CV to actually highlight those evidence in your profile, so that people can actually get to see, oh, this is the kind of person that we really want for this job. I think that could also help as well.
Yeah, thanks so much for your contribution. And then just one last question, and then all our three panelists and professor can answer together. So the person asks, what's the minimum number of publications required for a job application?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Like I said, I will also say there's no size fit all. No, but the next now says that know your field very well. For instance, at times, what I do a check on myself and people in my field. I go to Google Scholar. I look at people that are ahead of me. What are their citation at the moment? So for me, really, my field, you don't see more of our citation. I'm in property. People don't really care about property. But when people are doing BIM, people are doing climate change. They are doing things that everybody is interested in. You see a lot of citation. You see a lot of publication because there are issues to talk about. Issues that I would like to research in. People know, when you want to rent your house, did you consult any professional or any researcher to tell you what to do? So for me, you know your field. What are the things people do? You're doing a PhD, like Dr. Sam said, he has checked people's CV. What have people achieved? For me, for instance, when I was doing my PhD, I looked at the students from my research group that I just graduated. I use them as a standard, not competing with them. Oh, what has this person done? Can I do this? If this person have done this, I can do this. So look at your field. Don't be under pressure and say, oh, when I was in my PhD, for instance, this is a real life example. The guy was sharing my room with, two of us. The guy got like 15 or 16 publications in 3 years. And I got like 6, but I'm happy because I got it. But when I set out for my PhD, I said I'm going to publish all my objectives. And I was able to publish all the 6 objectives. And I still have some conference paper added to it and all that, even additional some few papers. So just have a target for yourself. Know the field you're going to. Nobody's saying you must have 50 papers because you're just coming in. You're just a lecturer or assistant professor. But going there with nothing, in 3 years or let's say 5 years cumulative of your experience is a no-no. Nobody wants to see your CV without any publication. So I won't say there's a number, but do your best and echo what else you can do in terms of research. Oh, I've done this before. I've collaborated with this. I've applied for this grant before. Even if it's successful, your PhD scholarship is a grant. Put all those things there and echo yourself. So some people are lucky. The topic they are working on, they could publish 20 papers. I have someone that just graduated in my department. I think this guy got close to 30-something papers in 3 years. I talked about collaboration there. So just look at what is obtainable in your field and don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure that I must publish 50 because everybody's publishing 50.
Yeah, Professor Sam, please.
Yeah, I think I agree with what Dr. Bolu has said. That you cannot run with somebody else's timeline. We all have different ability and different research projects. You know, when I did my PhD, somebody who just graduated from my group was telling me similar methods. I just needed him to explain some concept to me, and he said, "Oh, your project is very difficult, very difficult." And you know, that was what he was saying. But eventually, we were able to get some works done and get some paper out of it. But I wouldn't say that it is because of those number of paper that enabled me to get the job. Getting good number of paper is okay as much as you can, but zero is, I believe, is not acceptable for a faculty position. You just have to show that you have done something and you can do something. So whatever you can put in place to show that you have done something and you are able to do something, that is the crucial thing. So some people, it's 100 papers after to get their first job. And don't be surprised, there are still some people that will have 40 papers, 35 papers, and not get a faculty position. Whereas there are people, even 35 papers, they are professors. There are people like that. So we cannot really judge as to say this is the number of papers you have to get, but put in your best and see if you are fortunate and your project is giving you 5 papers, 10 papers, continue. Don't say I want to reserve everything. Just keep writing, keep publishing, and that is what I'll just have to say. But having a 0 or no paper at all can be a very huge turn off for people.
Dr. Oshodi, would you like to add some input, please?
Well, I think from my own experience, really, it's like what Dr. Bolu actually said. It's also find the balance, especially with your colleagues. You know, I'll share one little experience with you. There was a university I applied to in Australia where, surprisingly, I never knew that there was so much competition, especially within my field. And so funny enough, the HOD got back to me and was like, "Do you know 50 of you applied?" And I was very shocked that that we're able to get you to a certain, we're able to scale through the three orders, which was the 3 different stages of the interview. So you can actually imagine the amount of competition that is in the market. So what I always tell people is just make sure that at any point in time, when you actually compare yourself with similar colleagues that maybe people that are almost graduating like you are almost either at par or sometimes better. Like myself, I don't have, some people say it's first or top papers, but for myself, I don't have any first or top papers, surprisingly. If you look at my profile, like most of my papers, I'm second or top. So really, some people argue it's first or top papers will get you the job, but in my case, it did not. It did not. So for me, it's just making sure that you find a balance and make your profile, make things always obvious.
Professor Marafa, please give us a random overview and conclusion, please.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. I have been sitting here listening to you, and certainly, as always, when I listen to you and I see you, I basically get excited. I get excited because there is so much hope in you. I just look at myself, you know, when I started here, you know, almost 30 years ago, I was kind of the only person, and then eventually we got to 2 or 3 people. And so all what the speakers, Marcos, James, and Doctors Abidoye, Sam, and you know, Oshedi, all those, what they have been saying, I just cannot punctuate. I mean, I cannot say where they're going wrong. They're basically, you know, going in the right direction. A bit of my story is that, you know, when we were doing all this, social media was not there. So we basically had no distraction. Now you have a bit of distraction. Sometimes I call it, you know, the necessary distraction, particularly those who have children. Those are called necessary distractions. And I make sure that I tell my colleagues. So when you are doing research in any other place, I think one thing that I would like to point out, particularly here, is if you have a supervisor that has a team of people working with him, then be a team player. Do not be an individual person that is not playing. Someone somewhere said, make sure you attend the meeting, don't skip the meeting, don't come late. That's perfect. That's really, the fact. Because the moment you come late first time, then that goes into your, kind of profile. So don't do that. So be a team player. And then the second part, I think someone, Abidoye said PhD is like a marriage, and so on. Well, I'm not sure about that, but it's something that once you are in it, then you are in it for a purpose. And like I said, always, all of you came in here simply because of Mary. In Hong Kong, there is no, what do you call it? I mean, there is, you just have to get here because of your paper. Nobody, you don't know anybody. I mean, you don't basically write someone and say, oh, this is me. There's no quota system, right? So the only quota we look at is basically your papers. If you are qualified, then you are in. For my own side, I actually got in here knowing exactly what I wanted to do. Nobody was going to tell me what I needed to do. I came in as a soil scientist. Of course, now I have gravitated to something else, but initially that was my research. I mean, as a soil scientist. So I did my PhD here in less than 3 years. In a bit, 3 years, less than 3 years, the document was ready. And it was out there, for supervision and so on, examination. So what I'm saying is, make sure you do your work, of course, with the help of the supervisor. Sometimes you know the topic more than the supervisor. And that is one part. So it's your own way of trying to bring the topic to people. That's why you go to conferences. That's why you explain, basically, what you are doing. So take advantage of that, be a team player, attend conferences, make sure your topic, you are the one who knows it. I mean, historically for me, I think, personally, I've supervised, maybe 8 or 9 PhD students. At the moment, most of them are professors, including one in Chinese university, one in Holland, one in the UK, one in Taiwan, one in Macau. They're all over. They sometimes insist to write papers and they ask me to be the first author. I say, no, this is not my research. This is your research. You got to be the first author. That's what I do. When I write my report, that's basically, what I submit. So, again, both of you have come up with very good, ideas and, sounding bites, particularly at the moment we are passing through now. I hope that psychic feeling, I'm talking about those in Hong Kong, with the masks going around, with the ideas of not going back to work, don't go to the office, do your research. I guess you look at it as a two-edged sword. It's one of those times that you can basically have your time, even though someone said he gets bored when sitting alone at home. It doesn't matter. Do your research, do your work. If you are bored, just go out. I will tell you, on the last weekend, the Easter weekend, I went out cycling. I've not done that for more than 25 years. I mean, I had to make sure that maybe I can cycle. I mean, you get the energy out and basically bring something back. And so finally, I think it was Sam that said you volunteer. You do something a bit out of your academic, cycle. Try to make sure that 1 or 2 people basically can join you as well, and do something for others. I think there is a lot of benefit, coming to that. And then he said, be vocal about your achievements. So someone said, be vocal, about your achievements. So I finished with a very short story. I remember a few years back when Virgin was still flying to Nigeria. So I got to Lagos. After a while, the same day, I was flying to Abuja. So I went to the Virgin counter to buy my ticket. And so to fill in the form, there is a place, they said, title. I said, I gave the guy, there were 3 guys sitting, the boy and then 2 other girls. He said, title. I said, what do you mean? He said, title, sir. I said, my name is there. They insisted the title. I said, put anything you want. He looked at me like this. He said, what? I said, put anything you want. So he put a Mr. So immediately he finished, he was doing the ticket. Then a very good friend of mine from LASU came behind and shouted and said, Prof, this is how you come to this town and you don't let us know. So I turned around, so these guys doing the ticket, they all stopped. They were looking at me. So then the guy turned around and said, okay, you are a different person. I said, what do you mean? He said, we say title and you say put anything. I said, yes, put anything, that's who I am. So he told me that a few days back, a guy was there buying a ticket and they wrote chief for him, and the guy stopped them working for about 1 hour because he said he is a double chief and they should not just write him 1 chief, and he caused commotion in the whole area. So I mean, you have to be yourself. You don't have to be who you are not. That's basically what you do, even in research. And that is what with all the papers that basically we are writing. So lastly, I thought I will share with you in person. I thought we will be at a time when we will be in a hall, all of us together. But with the benefit of Sam and Rotimi and Oshodi. So I just like to say again that I personally also I have already gone through all that. So my promotion came out a few years back. So I'm the full professor level at the moment. So
Wow.
that's, I just thought I should let you know that, and so it's all went through. That was
Congratulations, sir.
that was the prayer somebody did for me at your meeting, I think 2017 or so. So I wish you all the best, and please let's make sure that we maintain that group, and also let's pray so that this thing will finish at a certain time, so that we can be able to get back, in person. So lastly, I thought I will just mention this, that we now have quite a large number of if you like, alumni in Hong Kong. So is there a way that we can actually have, a database so that we know everyone? I mean, even if we don't know now, for me, I think one of the oldest alumni who actually passed away, he did, I think, a master's here in Hong Kong in the early 70s, actually. So to me, he rose to be the director general of something in Nigeria. He was from Rivers State. So he was the first person I can basically remember as someone who graduated from Hong Kong. So what I'm saying is, we don't know where we will end. We don't know where this ANSHK will take us to, but it will be nice if we will know ourselves, whether living, or dead. So I hope we will take that, as something to do, another time. Yeah, so good to see you all. Good to see you, Sam, Oshodi, Rotimi, wishing you all the best, and let's please keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and then congratulations again, Professor Murafa.
Yeah, that's all right.
I wish you more achievements. Yeah, so this will bring us to the end of our second session, and I think at the end of this second session, the president will take over to take us to any other business section. So first, I will. Hello. So first, I would like to thank our panelists, Dr. Sam Ademiloye and Dr. Rotimi Adebil, and Dr. Rotimi Abidoye, and also our panelists, who are our impromptu panelists, Dr. Oshodi Olaleko. Thank you for giving us your time. I think the time now in the UK, it's in the morning now, and in Australia, it's in the evening, 7 p.m., right?
Yes, 7:30, 7:14 p.m.
So much for putting us in your schedule early in the morning and then late in the night over there. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. And also, I would just like to quickly remind us of what our resource persons have told us about getting involved over things outside the study. So I hope the electoral panel will not start chasing us again when it comes to election time. And then we can all volunteer to serve our associations and also do some volunteering outside. And also, perhaps we can become someone who will be called doctor, professor, engineer, president, something. Yeah. So thanks so much for joining us, and then I wish you a very good day as you continue with us. So, President, over to you, sir.
All right. We just listened to some words of advice from our patron. Once again, congratulations on the attainment of your full professorship status. We wish you more higher progress in your career, family-wise, and every aspect of your life. Thank you so much for how you have always been with us and sharing your experience and advices to us also. So we move on to the last aspect of the meeting for today. So just to intimate us of our next meeting, if that's our research forum, that will be on the 28th of June. That if we are able to gather physically, then we will be able to gather. Otherwise, we might use this platform again for the seminar presentations. So very soon you will receive emails or call for abstracts. So please, I want us to make use of this, avenues, to prepare ourselves, especially the new scholars who will be going for conference proceedings, conference presentations, or will be doing their, maybe confirmation for their PhD, or those who are doing on their Viva very soon as a testing ground to get us, ideas or advices, maybe on the presentation on the work they are doing. Maybe I may be very surprised that you may have someone here doing similar or have experience on what you are doing. So this is an avenue for you to present your work. Also, we have some social and sport events, although that is very less feasible considering the COVID-19 climate. However, if the local government eases the gathering of people, the social gathering of people, because I understand they have postponed it for the next 2 weeks. So at least the gathering of no more than 4 people, they have postponed it for another 2 weeks. They have extended it for more than another 2 weeks. So we are looking at everything. If everything is and school resumes, then that resumes our social and sporting events. Then, as usual, we have our election, later on 20th of August. So we hope that we have to do that one physically. Otherwise, we might have to conduct elections, on Zoom. The Zoom has the platform for us to share, to do the elections. And also, I will, as I've earlier posted, is there any questions or anything you want us to discuss in this aspect?
Can I come in, please?
Okay.
Yeah, I think while we were sharing some insights about our coping mechanism during this unprecedented time, someone mentioned about the mask qualities, and I think the president haven't addressed that.
Mentioned about what?
Someone mentioned about the masks that were shared.
Okay, what was that?
Like she made some complaints, and then I thought you were going to address this during the AOB session. Miss Kindness, right?
So please, can you recall? What was the complaint, or can you help me? Can you help me?
Yeah, Miss Kindness told us during that first meeting that the mask she got, whenever she wants to put it on, the handle got torn off, and that she wants to know if she can make a direct complaint to the consulate.
This is a gift from the consulate, and it was shared It was not. It was shared randomly, and I don't know where they got it from. So
May I say what may I repeat myself?
okay, okay, thank you.
Clarify myself. I said thank you for the mask, and then I also made an observation about the quality. I did not say you should send any message anywhere, but
Okay, yeah, yeah. Not at Miss Kindness. Not only you make some people also make some complaint about the quality of the mask. And the advice we give them is that they can use two of it at a time. It will help, mitigate against the low quality of just one of it. So try to make use of two because we are just called to pick it up. We don't know the quality, don't know where they get it from. So I will just, as we receive it, we distributed it to each and every one of us. So I think that is that about that. So Professor Manafa mentioned about database of alumni. Yeah, I think we have some database of alumni based on ANSK, but about the wider society, about the wider spectrum of other scholars coming to Hong Kong who are not registered to ANSK, so it's somewhat difficult to get it. But however, we enjoy anyone of us who knows whoever maybe come for just undergrad or for masters or PhD and not registered with ANSK. We can set up the database maybe on an Excel file and keep it up, in a way to track them, check up on them, So let it be a joint effort of all of us. We have the database of those who registered and who have left Hong Kong. Although those who are in Hong Kong or have left and are not members, we can help send it to our email or send it to any of their schools, their name, or maybe their parent location, if they're in Hong Kong or outside Hong Kong. This can help us to keep track with them and also maybe invite them for a forum like this to share their experience. You understand? Because we are not just getting back from even our past schools, from our past executive or members. Anyone with the requisite experience to the topic we are discussing, we can get knowledge and experience from them, and they can be a useful instrument for us as Nigerians, whether they are part of any ANSK or not. Okay. I heard that someone is willing to work on the database team for ANSK. Yeah, that would be well appreciated. If you can kindly get across to me or any of the executive after the webinar, we'll be able to pick it up from there and see how you can be of help to us in working on the database for the association. Is there any comments for the AOB? Okay. From the PRO, please let us remember our ANSK dues. Please let us remember our dues. If you are to pay for the current academic sessions, please let us pay. Some people, a lot on the number of people, a number of us have already paid. Much appreciate if all of us pay up our ANSK dues. It's for all of us. I know you know that. So the escorts are not being paid. So the money is there for us, and we make use of it for our activities. And when we resume, physically for our meetings, it will be for our all-round benefit. So please let us pay up our dues. And our upcoming events, please let us participate in elections. Don't, as we have been told today, it can be part of your CV. Please be willing to participate, offer yourself to serve. You have the skills. You have been in one leadership position or the other. And if you have not been, this is a platform for you to start your leadership, exhibit your leadership skills. So election on August 28th, volunteer yourself, be willing to serve, and we appreciate that as well. Any other comment for the OB? Okay, if there are no comments, finally, I would like to appreciate our patron, Professor Mafa, for being with us here from the start of this webinar, despite his business schedule, and also to our panelists, Professor Marcos Dr. James, Dr. Ademiloye, and Dr. Abidoye. They came from different time zones to be part of us, and to bring them here. We thank God also. We thank God for the COVID also, because some of them might not be available if not for the social movement in the various countries, and make them to be able to commit to this, being part of us. And we really appreciate it, and we hope to make use of their discussion, of their suggestion of their advices to further our career, and also for those still doing their PhDs. So also we would like to apologize because about 25 minutes, we intend to end this webinar by 5 p.m., but this is around 5:25. And I believe we all enjoyed the first sessions. We hope in our forthcoming sessions, meetings, you made yourself available also. So any further comment before I move a motion for adjournment? Any other comment? Okay. We'll move a motion for the adjournment of this meeting. Okay, who will second it? Mr. Omar have moved the motion. Who will second the motion? Okay. Okay, Mr. Atemtokwe Olubade have seconded the motion for the adjournment. So thank you so much for making up time to be with us today for the webinar. I think this is the first of its kind, for ANSHK, for having a webinar of such. Thank you so much for being with us. If you have any other comments or suggestions, you can always contact us via the association email. So, Professor Mafa, can you give us any other thing you'd like to say?
Well, that's okay. All the best, and let's keep in touch. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And to everyone, thank you very much for finding your time to be here today. Okay. Have a nice weekend and enjoy.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.